Hi, my name is Desiree, and today I want to talk to you about 3 practical steps that you can take to become the Acts 2 church again. Unfortunately, our culture today is extremely egocentric. Everything is focused around me and centered around what my preference is and what can make me comfortable. And that has seeped into the church. Our entire identity has gone from being rooted and grounded in Christ to now wrapped up in these superficial idols of preference. I'm going to talk to you about 5 preference P's, 5 preference idols that we within the church tend to struggle with. The first one is place. Now, this could be a physical location or tangible objects that we attach sentimental value to. For example, the church that I'm at, we have both chairs and pews, and that's because when it came time for us to upgrade, there were people that were disgruntled at the idea of us changing to chairs. And in order to appease them, we came to this compromise. And I think that's a great example of people bowing to the idol of preference for a place. The second one is personality. Now that could be a pastor, a leader, a leadership style, or even a preaching style. When our leadership changed here at the church, there were a lot of people that left because they preferred the other pastor, they preferred his preaching, or just because this church wasn't the same without them. Their entire identity was wrapped up in this person and the way that he delivered the word or the way he did things. And so when that changed, they didn't know how this could still be home. Number 3 is programs. We had to cut a few small groups, and I remember when that happened, there were a lot of upset and disgruntled people because this is the way we've always done things. How could you change that? And if you change that, that means we aren't still the church. Like, who are we now that this is gone? The fourth one is people. Now, in and of itself, none of these P's are bad, but when they become your identity, they become an idol. So people are relationships that we build that become these cliques and keep us confined to the 4 walls of the church instead of going out and reaching the lost like God called us to. And lastly, the last P is position, which I see so many leaders falling victim to. I am the pastor. I am the worship leader. I am a deacon. And then when God shifts you into a new season, you're disillusioned because your entire self-worth is now in your title. And I know all of these can sound daunting, and how can we get past all of this and become who God created us to be? I'm going to give you step 1, which is really simple, but not easy, which is change. It's changing from an inward focus to an outward focus. Changing is difficult because it threatens a person's entire reason for being at a church. It threatens those 5 P's and challenges them. It forces us to change. It forces us to do things that make us uncomfortable. However, people will rise to the occasion if you give them the why behind the change. If you cast the vision and say, this is why we need to go where we are going. So cast the vision and give them purpose. Change starts by creating a culture of serving, which is our step 2. I love how in Acts 4, it talks about the church selling everything that they own to take care of one another to the point that nobody had any need. It literally said none of them lacked anything. And this is such a beautiful picture of serving, of laying down your life, because serving requires sacrifice. It requires us to shift from a me mindset, an internal mindset, to an external one. It requires us to lay down our life. It costs us something. Serving means we can't just stay in our comfortable little box, but we have to go out, which leads us to our 3rd point. The first commandment in the Bible was to be fruitful and to multiply, which translates in the New Testament to going into all the world and creating disciples. So step 3 is disciple. Go out and disciple. Now, how do you disciple? Step 1 is become a disciple. You cannot disciple someone or create something that you yourself are not. And that starts by the 3 A's, the discipleship A's. First one is to assess, to allow God into your heart and say, Lord, search me and know my ways. Are there any of these P's that I struggle with? And then the second one is to align. As God highlights those P's, say, okay, God, I'm conforming to your truth and choosing to follow you. And then the third one is accountability. Invite leaders into your life to speak to you and to hold you and ask you the hard questions. Not just, are you doing all the right things, but do you have the right motives? And I'm going to leave you with this thought. Revival starts when we start to change our mindset from an inward perspective to now a serving and discipleship mindset. Thank you.